One of the efforts to avoid a government shutdown surfaced yesterday with a new bipartisan proposal to fix DACA. Supporters say the bill is backed by more than 40 members of Congress. Joining me is San Diego Congressman Scott Peters, an original co sponsor of the bill. And Congressman Peters, welcome.
Thanks, Maureen. Thanks for having me.
How does this proposed bill fix DACA?
So, essentially it incorporates the DREAM Act and it adds some aspects of border security that Democrats and Republicans agree are appropriate and necessary. So, as you know, we're trying to develop the most efficient and cost-effective approach to securing the border. We want to make sure that we're not wasting that money on a wall, and we want to provide kind of protections that the DREAM Act provided to Dreamers.
Does this DACA fix include a pathway to citizenship?
It does. It tracks the DREAM Act, so you have to have been present in the U.S. since 2013, younger than 18 upon entry. You have to pursue education, which is college, high school, or GED, or enroll in a high school GED program, or the military. And then there's a path to legal permanent residency, and ultimately a pathway to citizenship from there. So it's very similar to the DREAM Act as it's written now.
Now, because it has border security measures in it, it's not a clean DACA bill that many advocates were hoping for. Will that make it hard for many Democrats to support?
I think this particular version will get support because it's not a wall, Maureen. It's a technological approach to border security. So one of the things I heard when I visited the Border Patrol down a few months ago was that they don't have the detection systems that they need to find tunnels. That's something we can all agree is an appropriate security measure that Republicans and Democrats can say, okay, that's something that's worth investing in. So we also requires DHS to come up with a plan on how to secure the southern border mile by mile before we invest in hardening it. Incentivizes legitimate commerce across the border with new ports of entry, and encourages and authorizes collaboration among different state, local, and federal entities to support border security. I think everyone agrees in concept that border security is important. We don't want drugs coming across. We don't want people smuggling people. We don't want guns smuggled. There's an appropriate role for border security, and Democrats need to be willing to engage in that conversation. I think that's what we're doing here.
Do you expect some of your fellow Democrats to hold out for a clean DACA bill?
I think yes. Some people will. Some members of the Hispanic caucus have indicated that any construction, even spackling in the existing wall, is too much construction. I think that generally, though, we're really focused on the urgency of protecting these people from deportation. These dreamers are our neighbors. This is the only country that they've ever known. They're our coworkers. They're Americans, and we've been put in the position where we have to do something about this because of the president's withdrawal of President Obama's plan order, and this is an appropriate response.
Will the GOP leadership allow a vote on this bill?
I don't know that. I think it would be really unfortunate if they don't. I heard some rumors that Mr. Ryan and Mr. McConnell said that they're not going to allow something that President Trump wouldn't sign to come to the floor. I think that's the wrong approach. You've seen Senator Durbin and Senator Graham in the Senate respond exactly to what President Trump asked for in terms of coming up with a deal, and then of course he spoke very negatively about it in that meeting, to say the least. In the House here, we've come up with this USA Act, which is a narrower focus on just securing the border and getting the DREAM Act passed. We ought to be doing Congress's job and passing legislation. And I think guessing what the president is going to do with this president, who seems rather mercurial, is a fool's errand.
Congressman Peters, the Republicans have introduced a spending fix that would push the budget deadline into February. Would you support that?
I'm really skeptical just on its own, Maureen, about this month-by-month budgeting. Um, you know, in terms of defense, short-term funding, it leads to costly delays. It means the Pentagon can't meet their training, their readiness needs. It means the contracting community doesn't know how to plan. Federal agencies need certainty. At some point, we have to say it's time to do a budget for the whole year, and we're going to be in February if we extend it this time. So I think you'd have to offer a pretty good package to me to see if to do another month's spending without any promise that we'll be in any better shape in terms of coming up with a budget and a plan for funding the government a month from now. So I just think this is really bad. It's ironic that this place was more functional when power was split between Republicans and Democrats, when Republicans have the keys to all three, the House, Senate, and the presidency. It is amazing to me that they can't get their act together. But this month-by-month budgeting is bad for the country.
I've been speaking with Congressman Scott Peters. Congressman, thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. Take care.
We've invited the other members of San Diego's congressional delegation to speak to us about a potential government shutdown.